When most people think of parallel universes, they picture alternate realities where big historical events played out differently. Like, what if Ivan the Terrible died in a freak bee sting accident and Russia became a peaceful democracy? Or what if that guy didn't decide to eat the last slice of pizza and was instead struck by lightning? These hypotheticals are fun to consider, but they aren't really what physicists mean when they talk about parallel worlds. For them, parallel universes are a potential explanation for some of the oddities they observe in the universe, like why there's so much matter and so little antimatter. But these alternate realities aren't exactly other slices of pizzas or, bee sting-free Russia. They're actually different physical laws. The thing is, scientists may have just found evidence of one such parallel world, or maybe just a really weird quirk of our own universe. It's hard to say for sure because this hypothetical other world lies beneath the sea and it has a few unusual properties. Like for starters, gravity seems to be inverted. In our universe, objects with mass have a gravitational pull toward each other, but down there something strange is happening. Things are pushed away from each other. Researchers published their findings about this repulsive force in the journal Physical Review Letters in June 2023 to explain. In our universe, we measure gravity in a unit called the Newton, but in this underwater realm, the researchers found that the unit of measurement for gravity is the shark. And yes, that is really the name for this unit. They didn't actually name it after the fish. It was named after the paper's lead author, a physicist named Katie Shark. But how did she and her team find a whole other universe under the sea? Well, they weren't looking for a parallel world, per se. They were trying to figure out what was going on with a type of star called a white dwarf. A white dwarf is what's left over after a star similar to our sun runs out of nuclear fuel. It's basically just the dead, squeezed core of the star. And because they're dead, white dwarfs don't produce any light or heat. They're just hanging out in space reflecting the light of nearby stars. And that's what makes them tricky to study. You can't really analyze something if you can't see it. But back in 2021, astronomers discovered an extremely bright white dwarf around 1100 light years away. It was so bright that it didn't look like a white dwarf. Something was definitely up. So this team of researchers decided to take a closer look at this mysterious star using data from NASA's Chandra X-ray Observatory. What they found was strange. Normally you would expect the light from such a bright star to spread out evenly in all directions, but the light coming from this star's poles seemed to be concentrated in very narrow beams, and those beams were rotating with the star, just like a lighthouse. To figure out why, the researchers developed a computer model of the star to see if they could get it to match what they observed, and that's when they realized that there was only one solution. The star had to be surrounded by a gigantic magnetic field that was created when the star was born and then preserved as the star's core collapsed. And here's the weird part. For the model to accurately predict the brightness of the star, it also had to assume that gravity was flipping in and around this magnetic field. That meant that things like planets or other celestial bodies near the star wouldn't be pulled toward it, they'd be pushed away. Now, while the researchers can't say for sure that the parallel universe explanation is correct, it is the best model they have for what's going on. However, there is one piece of evidence that makes them think twice about concluding that there's another entire universe out there. Normally, astronomers can measure the mass of a star pretty easily by observing how fast nearby objects are orbiting around it, but this star doesn't have any orbiting objects. And since they can't measure its mass, they can't calculate the strength of the gravitational force. So they have no idea if the shark, their unit for the strength of gravity on this star, would even be noticeable in our universe. So for now, they can't say for sure whether the laws of physics are actually different in this parallel world or whether there's some other explanation for what they've observed. Either way though, they're pretty excited about their discovery. As Katie Shark said in a statement, the bottom line is that we think we have found something very unusual, possibly once in a century type stuff. It's rare that we can actually test these kinds of ideas. There's a lot more work to do, but it's pretty clear that something is not right. So while we may not have found a universe where pizza doesn't disappear before we get to it, we may have found something just as good a universe where we can safely eat the last slice without it being zapped by lightning. Just don't tell my writer that I said that. Thanks for watching this episode, which was brought to you with the help of our patrons. If you'd like to help us make more videos about parallel universes and other cool stuff, you can get started at our support page.